Hey, welcome everybody. Chris Petrie here. I just wanted to put the finished painting up first thing. So for the next 15 or 20 seconds, you're going to see this here, the finished painting. I'll lift this up here. This is what we'll be drawing and painting next in just a few seconds. And hope you'll enjoy this. This is a really fun glazing technique of a simple landscape painting. Beautiful farmlands, countryside, just a gorgeous, simple type painting. You can do this, no problem. You'll have a tremendous amount of success with this. It's just basically 2 glazings, the first wash, the first glazing over the whole painting from top to bottom. Let that dry 100%, and then we do the darks over top, the telephone pole and the trees and some of the details of the house and the fence posts and a few bushes here and weeds, and you're all set. So we're going to go over each step of the way for you as we create this painting. So hope you enjoy, and we'll get started in just a second. Welcome everybody, it's Chris Petrie here. We're going to do a fun and dynamic landscape painting, and of course you saw just in the beginning of the video the finished painting. So we like to put on our finished painting first for about 30 seconds. This way you can kind of see the painting, see what it looks like. You'll be kind of privy to what we're actually going to be working on, what the finished product should look like when we're completed. And it can look different when you're doing your paintings. Remember, you're the artist. You know, if you want to change something, make it, to make it easier for you to paint, do that. If you want to minimize things, again, to make it easier, please do that. Or if you want to add more things to it to make it more challenging for yourself, or if you want to add more details to it, then you can do that as well. You're the creator, so you create the painting the way you want it to look. You can make modifications to it, of course. Here, I'm going to be working from a picture I found online. I don't know when it's from, but it's a watercolor painting. Definitely, that's for sure. And again, I can't really put it on camera because I don't know if it's going to be a problem with copyright or anything like that. So sometimes I can't show the actual painting or photograph that I'm working from. So that's the case here right now. But it won't be a problem because, again, you saw the finished painting in the start of the video. You can hit pause on that and take a picture of it or a screen capture, or you can just leave it on pause and work from that. But I think the best way to go if you're going to do this exercise, this composition here that we're going to do, best thing to do is just watch the video full through. Once you watch the video full through, then you can go back to the beginning and then pause it on the first 30 seconds where you'll see the finished painting. Or you can even pause it when we're done doing our pencil drawing. So we're going to do a pencil drawing, a contour drawing. So if you want to, maybe it would be good to actually pause the video on the contour drawing, do your pencil drawing, your contour drawing there. Then, once you're done with your contour drawing, then you would go back to the beginning of the video, look at the finished painting as it is, and then you'll see, as we go. Or you can just do it as you would like to do it. I mean, I know some of you probably watch it full through, and then you watch it a second time, and then you kind of pause it and work along with the video as we're going. So whatever it takes, whatever you want to do, that's fine. I always mention, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. You're going to get great videos like this. Every week we're coming here, we're on YouTube, and we're creating great watercolor paintings for you to try. And work on your watercolor skills and get yourself, to a place where you feel you're a better artist and you're learning, you're growing, you're making progress, and you're learning new techniques, new methods on how to create better watercolors for yourself. Okay, so let's get started. Now, the first thing we'll do is we'll just set our pencil aside there. Let's get a couple hash marks. Now, this landscape painting, it's going to be a dynamic landscape painting, really beautiful. Lots of lights and darks, very powerful visual dynamics to this. So we're going to keep a very simple, it's going to be about halfway in the painting here. You're going to have your sky top half, and then your landscape, your field, road, trees, bushes, right along here on the bottom half. So really, that's kind of simple. We just make a hash mark halfway. So you have half. So half the bottom half of the paper is going to be like the bottom area where you're going to have your road. We're going to make a road in here. We're going to make a couple small little houses, some shacks. And then on the top half, we're going to have more or less the sky. And some of the bushes will be some of the bushes and trees also will be about a little bit above the halfway point. But that's our halfway point. That's good. And then once you have that, you're really kind of set. You can also look at the painting as horizontally. You have the half, top half, bottom half, and then as we do the vertical portions of the painting, we're going to say about here is we're going to have a house there, and then maybe another house here. So a couple houses, and we sort of put them in these locations, just roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect. It'll just give you a reference point as you're contour drawing. So we're going to contour draw here. So contour drawing, we're going to take a trip through the painting. This was kind of a simple layout here. As you can see, we didn't have to do too many hash marks. We're going to have the light in this picture is going to be, I think, behind us. So we can kind of make our light like this. So the light's coming from the sky behind us. Okay, so we have our light source. We kind of know how we're going to be creating our painting and where the shadows and light is going to be according to our light source. This is a backlit painting, as they call it, a backlit painting, or painting into the light. We're painting into the light, so the light is in front of us, and we're painting as if we're painting into the light. We're looking at the light, or we're painting backlit. So the scene that we're painting is backlit. The light is behind it, backlighting it. So that's kind of the format. That's real simple. And then that's the most, that's probably the most important details right now to start with. Then other than that, we're kind of good. Let's actually use our office pencil. And let's start contour drawing. I'll draw a little darker so we can see here what we're doing. All right, so I'm going to start out here. It's a road here in the distance. Then we have the house here. No need to get too fussy with the house here. We're going to have a bush and a tree in front of it, so that's going to make it easier. So make a tree and a bush in front of the house. Another one over here. And that's all. And then a door and a window. That's all. Very simple. And another bush over here. So very simple house here. Like that. And then we can darken these up. This is going to be bushes behind here and trees. And you can contour draw them too if you want, instead of shading them in like I was just doing. It's probably a little better to do it this way. Already you can see we have a really good, strong part of the composition coming along. The distant horizon line here, and this is going to be a road. This road's going to come across to about here. Okay, so I just put some this is going to be some bushes and weeds and things over here on the left side here. This is going to be the road, a dirt road coming across. And then of course we have some more dirt and hills and weeds and plants and some fence posts and things like that. Okay, and then here, let's go back over here. We're going to try to stick with contour drawing is important. We try to stay close to where we're working. So instead of working over here and doing this, let's keep working over this way so we kind of keep on track of where everything is. Okay, so we have a tree over here. And okay, now over here we're going to do the second house. It's back a little further. Over here. And some more trees back here. And we gotta have a door here for the house, and then there's maybe a window back here somewhere, like that. So again, we're having fun here. Now we're gonna skip over here and do like a small bush or tree here, just to kind of give us a sort of a bit of interesting shape in between the houses in the foreground here. And then at this point, let's take a break. And I always say, take some breaks here and there. Sometimes when we keep working and working and working, it gets a little bit tiresome. I know myself, I get fatigued, I get a little bit tired, and then I start to like lose focus. So if I want to remain strong, have good focus, I always know I have to take a break like every 15, 20 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my pencil down, take a quick break. I'm standing, so it'll feel good to just sit down in a chair, maybe watch a little bit of YouTube, and then I'll come right back in about 5-10 minutes, and we'll continue working on the drawing. But the drawing's coming along good. We only have maybe a few more items to put in, a tree over here on the right, and we should be good. Okay, so we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're in business. We're going to continue on our drawing, our contour drawing. So really, we made a lot of progress so far. We have all of our horizon line here with our road here. We have a house here, a small house, shack, and then another shack over here. And that is pretty good. Now we're going to create a tree over here. So let's take our time. And I'm contour drawing here, taking my time. And I'm just getting the feel for the limbs of the tree here. Okay, that looks good. We're not going to get too fussy. We're going to just try to keep this light. And then here, we're going to just do a little bit of indications of where the leaves are going to be. So I'm just going to, you can see I'm just doing a little bit of pencil marks. And really what works best is I'm just going to work from the drawing, from the painting that I'm looking at on the internet here. So I can pretty much get most of it from the and there's a fence here, so we'll do a little fence posts. And I just remember that with the fence posts over here, they're closer together further in the distance, and then as they get closer, they get wider apart, and they get bigger. They get bigger as well, so they'll get wider spacing and larger, like that. And we have the road here, and we can do this here. And some directional lines here. And then an exciting telephone pole. Let's do that over here. That's about here. Where does that goes over here. And it's a little bit on a slant, which makes it look interesting. Like that. So I'm just drawing the telephone pole. I'm getting its approximate shape and size. And then there's some wires that like that. Now you might say to yourself, why did I make the telephone pole like this? I'm looking in the painting and that I'm working from, and it really looks good. It looks exciting. You know, it kind of adds like a little bit of tension to the painting. Like it's kind of like, you know, kind of pulling our attention this way. So, and then this tree here is sort of like stretching. So this kind of composition that we're doing, this landscape, it's a simple, fun landscape to do, but some simple and interesting interesting details, like this simple and interesting details, having a telephone pole on an angle, having a tree, you know, having a tree kind of like swinging back into the painting this way, it adds a lot of excitement to this actually. It makes it look more interesting. So if I was just to draw a straight telephone pole like this and a straight plumb vertical tree and a straight plumb vertical telephone pole, that would not be as exciting. I think you'll see that if you try doing this painting twice. Maybe do it this way first, and then try it or even sketch it maybe a couple times with you know, some pencil, whatever. And I'll tell you that if you start moving things around, making things more interesting, bending things, making dynamics within your composition, you'll notice it's going to be a lot more interesting. So we'll see as the finished painting as we go here. You'll see here. So now I'm going to do some more. These are some trees here, some in the back. And these look like they're kind of the wind's kind of blowing these maybe a little bit. Okay, we're looking really good. I meant to say that this is Arch's rough paper, so this will be really a beautiful paper to work with, actually, with this type of painting, because we're going to do a lot of like trees, branches, shrubs, bushes. All those things look great with Arch's rough paper. Just Arch's rough paper gives you such a beautiful effect when you're doing like trees, landscapes, landscape paintings. Just beautiful. It's a great paper, and then also the sky. We're going to see some really interesting sky effects too we can get with the Arch's paper. All right, so let's take another break. We're finished with the pencil drawing. We'll start the painting in just a second. And again, I just always ask if you feel like you want to subscribe, please subscribe. You just hit that button below the screen here, and you can hit the notification bell as well. It'll just alert you when the next video is coming out. This way you can kind of see if it's something you want to work on. If yes, great. We'll work together. We'll work on the painting, the drawing. We'll get another painting done. If you don't think you like the painting, no problem. You can wait till the next one. But this way, at least if you get the alerts when you're subscribed, you'll keep seeing what's going on my channel. And I'm always changing my subject matter. I might be doing flowers one week. I might be doing landscapes the next week. I might be doing seascapes and boats on another week, or street scenes, or I might be doing figure painting or portrait paintings. So I'm doing all kinds of different watercolor art. I want you to sort of, at least if you subscribe, you'll see what I'm doing and working on. If you like it, boom, you do it. You try the composition, the work, the painting. If you don't, you wait till the next week or the next video. Sometimes we're doing multiple videos per week. So you'll get lots of information here, lots of great tutorials. And again, we'll come right back in just a second. We'll start painting, and we'll have a great time of it. See you in just a second. Okay, we're back. We're going to start working on the first preliminary washes. Let's do this in a glazing technique. We always, here on my channel, you'll always hear me speak about glazing technique or alla prima or direct approach. So glazing technique is where we would go in. We'll do a preliminary wash across the whole sheet of paper, the whole painting, in one wash, the first wash all the way across. And then once that dries, we're going to come back and do a second glazing and start working in the details. So you could say maybe 2 or 3 glazings, and we have the completed painting. Alla prima painting is a little different. Alla prima is we just start in one place painting, and we just work through the entire painting, and we're not really doing glazings where we're doing washes over subsequent washes. So that's the only difference between really the direct approach, or also known as alla prima, which is just basically starting in one area and doing, let's say, your darks first, creating those, the darks first, and then coming back and doing washes, or just doing, you know, more washes on the painting, but really just doing everything at one time. So glazing is lighter washes first across the whole painting, let it dry, come back, and then do your darker washes on top of that. So we're going to do the glazing approach here. So let's get started. We're going to actually have some fun. We'll put some water onto the paper. Clean water. So I'm just putting some on the paper, some clean water here and there, a little more up in the sky areas, so that we have a little more of that really beautiful wet look of the sky. And then we're going to look at the colors and let's say, all right, typical sky, French ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, a little bit of raw umber in there, a little bit of yellow ochre too. Let's add a little yellow ochre. I'm looking at my reference photo, and a little bit of even some cadmium yellow, and some burnt umber, raw umber. Okay, so we have French ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, raw umber, little bit of yellow ochre, rinse the brush, a little bit of cadmium yellow, and a little bit of burnt umber. So we'll have a little mixture of different things, and I think we should be fine. And what else do we have maybe there? Maybe a little bit of purple too. We have a little bit of purple mixed in there. Okay. And I'll just do a little more. And here I'm just basically, really kind of putting the paint on. And I notice I want to go with a little bit of a darker mix here. Some purple. Put on some really good washes here. I'm putting in a little bit of that. Have fun with this. Don't worry about it. Let it be a free sky, a free flowing sky. Don't get worried that your colors are just... We're going to leave this section over here a little bit lighter. So we're going to do a little bit of like that. A little bit of the yellow over here. Like that. Key is don't overwork it. Just get those darks in there. You can also go back in and burnt umber, raw umber, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. And don't forget, we can go over another time. We can go over with another wash once this completely dries. And I'm going to add some purple over here too. Like that. So I'm going to mix that purple around. Look at that. Isn't this fun? This is the fun of watercolor. Look at that. We added that little bit of clean water on the paper first. We have Arches paper. So Arches paper, when you're working with Arches paper, you're going to have a great time. It's so much fun to work on Arches paper. It gives you a lot of time to work. You don't get many blossoms or blooms or funny looking stains or any kind of funny looking spots on your paper. It lets you work on the paper for a lot of time. You have a lot of time to work with Arches rough paper. So you can see we've been working here 5 minutes or more. And look at that, we still have plenty of time. We're still working the colors. We left this bit of light over here. You can kind of see it's lighter here, and then darker up here and over the top, like that. You can do this painting 5-10 times and just create all different interesting skies as you go. And it's all good. So now we're going to go in with some, for the road, we're going to do some burnt sienna, some yellow ochre, burnt sienna. What else we get? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Burnt sienna. We mix it up a little bit, but not over mixing. We don't want to go and just keep mixing and blending it all together. Leave some of the darks. Leave some of the yellow ochres to darks like that. Maybe a little bit of cerulean blue. Since we're going to use some cerulean blue, let me add some to the sky. There and there, here and there. That. If you think you need some more dark up there on the sky, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber. A nice little spot of dark here and there looks great. Okay. We could just kind of blend that edge there. There we go. This is going to be the road. I'm going to take a little bit of this color up here too. I'd be really careful though. Sometimes you can't go back up in these areas when it dries a little bit. So you have to really know. I'm so used to watercolor washes and painting for so long, so many years. I just kind of know, looking at it, what I can do. But I did want to add some of that color from the road up in the sky just so it blends in. There we go. Some stones and rocks on the road here, and then we have a little bit of raw umber. And I blend that color down a little bit in the bottom of the painting. So, and there's even going to be some of that too here. So I'll put some of that like so. Glazing technique. We're doing all the lights first, so you don't have to worry about the trees. You can paint right over them. The tree trunks and everything like that, paint right over it. So essentially this whole sheet of watercolor paper is going to have wash on it. You paint over everything. There's nothing you're going to leave in this. A little bit of olive green just for the kind of the grass over here. Then we just add in some of the sky color into the foreground here. Purple, blue. Again, with arches, you have time to do all these washes and mix everything on the paper. It's almost like it gives you about 5 or 10 minutes of just free time of just blending everything on the paper. If you're using a less expensive paper, like maybe a student grade paper, you're not going to have that time. You won't be able to have that time to work. So that's the only thing I have to say really with papers. Not every painting you're going to do, you won't need this time. But for a painting like this where you're doing a glazing technique, the Arches paper is just incredible. Okay, that looks great. A little bit of wash there. Okay, there we go. And you can always, if you see some, you can blend in some washes. Right now, while you have, we're going to go in later. This is here, let's see, there we go. You can add in just a little bit of darks, or just kind of a little bit of a wash to fuse things together. But that looks fine. We're going to come back and do the real darks next after this completely dries 100%. So now's a perfect time. We're going to take a break. Again, I always mention, hey, if you haven't subscribed, please come on, subscribe. Have a good time. When you subscribe, you'll be notified when our videos come out. We're doing watercolor paintings just like this, some beautiful, wet-on-wet method and glazing techniques with landscapes. We're doing flowers. We're doing figure work. We're doing cityscapes. We do everything here, so if you subscribe, you'll get alerted when our video comes out. You look at it, you say, oh yeah, I got to do that, or no, I'm going to wait till the next video. Fine. Work on what you want to work on, but always remember we're doing everything watercolor here, so this is the place to come for your watercolor techniques, methods, And we'll be back in just a second. We have to let this dry 100%. So right now, this is bubbling, and it's all, you can see that. This is all buckled, the paper. It's all buckled because the paper's got a lot of water in it. When you come back the next time, which is, I should say, about an hour, you should let this dry at least an hour. This paper should be back flat again. So you don't want to come back and start painting on paper that's buckled. It's got to be flat and dry. So remember, let this dry an hour or two. Or if you have a blow dryer, use the blow dryer completely dry so it's flat, and then you're ready to go. You're ready to start the next wash, the darker darks, to finish up this beautiful landscape painting. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back here in the studio, and we're looking at our painting. We let it dry. We did a really wet wash across the whole painting, as you remember. This is where the paper gets buckled. When you're using a lot of water, the paper gets buckled. You can see it. It kind of has a lot of water in the fibers of the paper. So this is where we let it dry. I let this dry like 15 minutes, and then I actually used the blow dryer just for like another couple minutes of blow drying, and it's pretty much almost, it's probably like 90% dry. So there's a touch of, it's not perfectly flat, but it's almost. So this is where I know I can go back in and I'm not going to have any issues with washes getting, diffused, or blossoms or cauliflowers or so forth. It's going to look really, really good. We're going to go over and do our dark washes. Now, this is the fun part. And the glazing method, let me say, the glazing method is really a really excellent method if you're newer to watercolor. I would say many artists, professional artists, use the glazing method, and it's a great method. But it's a good method for maybe someone who's just beginning. So if you're just starting out in watercolor, don't worry. This is the method you want to use. The glazing method is a beautiful method. You just get that first wash on, let it dry 100%, and then you just go in and you're going to do your darks. And we're going to do that right now. So I'm just looking. I have to get some color. I have to get some... I have to fill my... So I'm just going to add some paint. French ultramarine blue. What else do we have? Cobalt. We need some cobalt blue. So I use the large tubes. This is cobalt blue. So for colors I use a lot of, I'll buy the larger tubes online or at the store, the art store. And for colors I don't use all that much. I use the smaller tubes. Like a lot of my yellow colors, I don't use a lot of yellow and orange. Reds I don't use all that much. Blues I use a lot. Burnt umber I use a lot of that. Raw umber, yellow ochre I use a lot of those two colors. So I have a lot of large tubes. So let me just continue on here. Okay, I think we have enough. I wanted to get that blue, French ultramarine blue in there. Okay, so now I'm going to change my brush. I'm going to use a smaller brush, a number 5 Da Vinci travel brush, watercolor brush. And let's start doing the darks. So, and again, you've seen the finished watercolor painting. Sap green, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. And here we're just going to do the distant trees. The dark darks here. And you can see here, just a damp brush and straight paint. We don't want to use water, very little water. And we're going to go around this, the roof here of this. And I'll go right in and do the window and door. We'll come back once this all dries and we'll put on a subsequent wash there. And then this here, we're going to go around the roof there. Dark darks, that's all I'm doing here, dark darks. I'm just mixing burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, sap green. Just mix them up to get our nice dark darks. Just thinking out loud here, I'm going across the painting, capturing the darks. And a bush there in the front area. And these darks are just wonderful. You're not really, you don't have to worry about the mixtures too much. You're just trying to mix everything in there. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, sap green. As long as you get a little bit of each of those in there and you just mix it around a little bit, you'll have your perfect dark darks. And that's all you need. And let's see here. We'll do that door there, like that. And maybe that side of the roof there. And this roof is across there. And then we can let's move on along here. We got another bush over here. And then we're going to do this here. And I just try to have fun with this and let the brush kind of have a fun time. And then this here, and then this, we get some splashes. So we're going to do some of that. A little bit of finger painting here too, just for some bushes, and it gives us that little bit of variation that looks really good. Sometimes we'll use our creative abilities here. We use some finger painting. We do some brush work. Mix up some darks here. The darks are at the bottom. We add a little bit of water to the mix over here like this, and then we can get that splashy look. And then we got a few more. That's all there. And we're going to do some more darks there. And then we can do some more branches here. These are the thicker parts of the branch, and then we'll grab another brush and we'll do a needlepoint brush and get some more finer branches here. This is pretty good. Okay, looks good, looks good. Okay, some more darks. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue. A little bit of finger painting, a little bit of finger tapping. Just on the, if you tap on the paint, you put on a little bit of paint and you just tap it a little bit. There you go. It gives you that nice kind of like light feel, like so it's not so thick. The paint, you know, you have a little bit of. Then you can go in and get a little bit of water mixed into that wash right there with the brush, and then a few more spots. Scrub around, have a good time. Let your brush just dance around and have a fun time on the paper. That's the thing with watercolor. Not too much controlling things. Let things just happen, fun. Tap around, tap some paint, tap with your brush, do some scrubbing, try to find some different marks that you can make like that. That looks fine. And if you see a spot that you want to leave a little bit lighter, that's all. You lift up with some tissue, blot up a little bit with tissue to lighten it up a little bit, and then it's fine. So now you can really see the beautiful effect you get with the dark darks on top of that really wet wash underneath, that first glazing we did. And now we're going to use our needlepoint brush here to get some more darks. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of sap green. And we're just going to try to not too much detail, just, you know, enough to, if we do that, perfect. Then we take our brush, our smaller brush, and we just try to get a couple spots of paint on there. That's all, like that. Good. Okay, now we can do some splashing over here. We'll work in a little bit of these washes over here. A couple splashes just to get some rock feel, like the stones. And then some. And a couple small little bushes and plants and things over here. Just a little bit to, maybe a little bit of that burnt sienna in there just to tie that all together. Okay, that looks good. Now, these a little bit thicker, these fence posts. Let's do these fast. Don't do these slow. Just fire them in. Then we go to our thin, as these fence posts get smaller in the distance, we go with a smaller brush, a needlepoint brush, and this way we get a thinner look like that. Perfect, look at that. And we could do a little fence post like this. Just like that. Again, nothing fancy. Just fire them in. There you go. Good enough. We have some shadowing. Let's do some shadowing on the fence posts. And we can even do some shadowing on the fence rails. Those would be really subtle, just a couple swipes along there, and that's good. We're really coming along nicely here. So now we're going to go back in, get some raw umber. Cerulean blue. Let's do this with some burnt sienna. Cerulean blue for the roof, maybe a little bit. There we go. Change up the color. Looks good. And then over here, some of that grayish tones. And then maybe some of those and that's all we need. And we can let these dry, these small houses here, we can let these dry and then touch them up a little bit if you want to, if you feel you need to. But they might be good the way they are. Not too much detail though. Detail tends to make a painting look overworked. So if you can kind of get it somewhat closer, you're probably just good to let it go. But I notice I might need a little bit of detail over here. This house here, this small shack looks good. I think it looks fine. Maybe a little bit of that dark there. Let's see if we can get this a little better. That looks better. A little bit of purple here. Just another little bit of wash. Maybe a little bit of green over here. A little bit of blue and green, blue and green. Pretend there's some bushes off there in the distance. Maybe a hedgerow over there. A little bit of darks there, like that. And that's really looking good. Let's just finish up. Let's do the telephone pole. Now, to get this telephone pole straight, you can do it in a lot of different ways. I think I'm going to try, let's see, how can we do this pretty straight? Let's see here. I think we could just go for it. Well, let's say that we're trying to really, let's just say we want to try a new method of trying to get a straight edge on one of these lines versus just painting it in like we normally might do by hand. You know, we could just go like this and go straight down the page and slide our hand straight down on the page and just slide. So on this type of method of doing a straight line on a smaller painting like this, where you have the paintings dry, you know, you can just basically rest your brush and your hand on the paper at the same time like this, and you can almost hold your hand still if you need to, and then you can just like slide your hand really lightly across going downwards, and you can get a pretty good straight line that way. You could also take a straight edge like a ruler and go up next to where we're going to make our straight line, and then you could just paint along that edge like that. And you ride your brush on top of the ruler. So you're painting like on the ruler at the same time. And then you have it. There it is. And then you just go across the top for this. That's a little more easier. And a couple of those details on the top of the. Then we can go with a few more details on the telephone pole. Like that. And we're going to do the wires. Let's do the wires. No sense in getting too bogged down with being being a perfectionist here. Let's not do that. Let's just take this time to just say, all right, we're going to take our needlepoint brush and we're just going to hold it and we're just going to kind of 1, 2, 3. There you go. Try it again. We're going to have 3 or 4 lines, 3 or 4 wires. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Perfect. And then just over here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Perfect. Look at that. No fussing around. We'll just get it done quick. And what else do we have here? Maybe we'll have a couple of chimneys on these here. This is dried over here, which is good. So we'll put the other side of the roof there. Like that. Okay, look at that. Okay, now the only thing I can see is maybe a few. Mix up burnt sienna, raw umber, and we're just going to get some of these lines on the road here, like this. Just skim it across the paper, just a little bit. Maybe a little bit of water, like that. Like this, some lines, directional lines just to lead the viewer through the picture like that. Then we go in, we just blot up a little bit if you went over an edge or something, or a couple. I always like warm and cool, so I'll get some cerulean blue and some purple like that. And let's mix a little bit of that in there too. And again, you can blot up a little bit if you think you went too dark, or if you had something go off the track a little bit, no big deal. Sometimes our washes might not always, our brush strokes might go off a little bit from where you want them to be, so you can lift them up quick with a tissue, just, And let's see now, we're going to go back in with our larger Da Vinci Maestro brush here. Let's get some raw umber. So I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to rinse the brush, leave it nice and damp, and just kind of nice and easy mix that wash. So this is going to have the same idea of the land kind of just nice swooping down like this on the hill. So I just took a little bit of that darker wash, raw umber, mixed in there a little bit. Let's make that a little darker under here. Like that. And that's all. You put in those directional brush strokes, with the brush strokes flowing with the land, with the ground, with the hill here. It's a slight hill going up. You do those brush strokes like that, and then you let them mingle and mix with the color underneath, and you get that real beautiful feel of the hill leading up to these houses here. And you can add in some more color. Okay. And if you see any other areas you need to just do a quick touch up, no big deal. I'll put a branch there going that way. And I think that's perfect. Again, let's not overdo it. I think we did just enough that it looks good. And it's like a nice completed painting. If anything, maybe a purple hill back here, like that. A little bit of raw umber. And you can make like a darker wash at the base of that hill where the purple is, where we made that purple mountain behind there. And this way you're doing two hills. You're doing a hill here, like bushes, and maybe a small bit of middle distance color, and then behind that is that purple mountain. So you can kind of set that purple mountain back in the painting by just going in and doing a quick wash right in front of it and leaving it lower so that you still see that purple bit of mountains and the tops of the mountains on that section over here, like that. And you can even get some more darks here. So we get some burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. A couple touches of that maybe. And now you have three areas of, you have this darkest dark here, maybe some bushes right close, right along where the house is. Then you have that light wash of burnt sienna or raw umber second, and then the third is the purple mountain in the background. So now you have three steps back into the background over here in this section, which gives it more dimensionality, has more of a three-dimensional feel. And then here you can even add in just a couple subtle details, maybe here and there, just to Again, too much will sometimes be a problem with details, but if you kind of just add a few things, it's not a problem. And then a little bit of shadowing.